Awesome. Well, I'm Mr. Debkowski. It's nice to meet you face to face. This is our Wax. It's called
Yeah,
Wax
pleasure's all
News.
mine.
Our media class. We have about 40 students total. This is just one section of the class, and so in this class we explore media. We make videos. We're just kind of learning how to become great storytellers, and we're so excited that you were able to take the time to join us. We watched your subtitles video, really analyzed it, saw that it got somewhere near 9 million views, I think, which is pretty impressive. Our videos don't do quite that much traffic, maybe more like 100, 120.
My
So
videos usually don't either. So
well, something about this one really hit. So I'm so delighted that you're able to join us. It's telling me my internet connection is unstable, so hopefully it doesn't drop. So I'll toss out the first question, but then I'll just kind of pass the mic around. Our camera person will hopefully zoom in on whoever's talking. Not too close. Okay, the lighting is not great.
Shout out to the camera person. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, there you go, dude. Okay, so first question I wanted to ask you is, like, I'm always harping on planning and stuff in this class, and my kids roll their eyes and they're like, I don't want to fill out the planning document and I don't want to do it. So can you talk about your planning process for a video like that? What do you do to like make sure that you're planning all the elements you need to plan to make your video happen?
Planning is super important, and it sucks, like I get you want to like get to your hands on the camera and start doing the fun thing and not like planning everything out. But unfortunately, planning actually is extremely helpful, and we have to do it all the time. I mean, like with this video and all of our videos, we write the script first, and we have like a text column on one side and then a visuals column on the other side. And so essentially, or you touch a camera or like you start editing or making any graphics, and it takes a long time, and you're not allowed to like do anything until that script is locked. So that, knowing what you're going to do makes it so much easier to then do the thing, because it's like you just have to, you're basically on autopilot. Like you know exactly what shots you need, you know where the story is going, and you can just make it so much faster.
Hi, I'm Katie Weber. I'm Wax Publisher. So I was wondering if you like went to school for this, or like studied audio and film, or like just how did you learn everything that you have?
Hey, Katie. Yeah, that's a great question. It's like in high school and college. So I studied film specifically. I didn't study like journalism or anything. Um, I went to Queens College. It's a local college near me. So not like I would have loved to go into like an NYU or something that has like a big name, but I didn't, and it ended up being like for the best, just because I didn't have like student loans and everything, which is like the most unfun thing to talk about when you're like thinking about going to college. But like afterwards, it's very nice to not have debts. But anyway, yeah, I studied film specifically, and then that sort of led down like a more journalism route without intending to do that. Like it just, the internships that I ended up like getting callbacks for were at like CNN or like places that had more of a focus on news. So I learned all of like my journalism knowledge at internships and like doing the job, and I learned how to use like a camera and editing software and everything like in film school.
Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the editor-in-chief at Wax. And I was just wondering how you pick the people you interview, because you have like here, obviously we have like a community that like we can choose from, but like when you're doing your videos, you can basically like choose anyone, because like there's no like limits for you. So I was just wondering how you choose the people you do.
For sure, yeah. It's both harder and easier when you have like an open sandbox. When you can only pick between 10 things, it's easier to pick like the one that you need. But for this, honestly, generally on videos, I send out like 5 emails. Like I just research depending on the topic, I'll try and find like who I think is an expert in the topic. So you know, it's being open to like everywhere. You know, it's doing the research and seeing if you can find somebody. But like, if there is a person who's making videos for YouTube or TikTok and like is doing the work and are an expert in the field, like there's no issue with like having that person be an expert because you know they know what they're talking about. With that stuff, you just have to be a little bit more particular and make sure that their background is what they say they are, because you know there are a lot of people talking on TikTok that aren't actually doing the things that they're talking about. So you got to be careful with that. But like generally, yeah, I try to cast as wide a net as possible because ultimately, you know, you send out 10 emails and like 2 people get back to you, and then one person at the last minute is like, oh, I can't do it, and so you just have to like do more than you expect to hopefully get like one person that works.
Hi, I'm Sarah, and I am the social media manager at Wax. And I was wondering what your best piece of advice to someone that's just starting out with like making videos would be.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think there's a lot of things for video making specifically. I think like we all want our videos to look good, and that took me a long time to understand like how you do it. Because you can make like a terrible camera look good, but of course everybody thinks like, oh, I need like a really expensive camera. You don't. Really, like lighting is one of the most important things, and audio. So having good audio, like if you have like lav mic or like I set this mic up because my computer microphone sucks. Um, you know, if you can see and hear things, it sounds really like basic because that's like what video making is, but like it's so easy to like let one of those things slide. So I'd say like, yeah, try to learn the basics of lighting and the basics of audio, basics of using a camera. Um, and that's like step one for like making the video. But the other thing that people don't tell you is that you kind of got to be interested in other things. You know, if you're only focused on learning how to make movies, you don't have anything to make movies about. You know, you got to like have a thing that you want to say. So besides learning all the filmmaking side of things, you got to also like be a good writer and think about like what story do you want to tell and how what's the best way to tell it. So it's hard because filmmaking is like a lot of steps. We have an editorial side of Vox that just writes like text articles, and we all basically have to do like their full job and then like make a whole video on top of that. But even though it's like daunting, it's like you guys can totally do this. Like if you know how to make it look and sound good, like you're off to the races.
Hi, I'm Reese. I'm the art reporter in Wax. I was wondering, how long have you been making videos?
It's a good question. So I think I got into it in like my junior year of high school. I mean, I had made stuff before, but not like very seriously. I had a class kind of like you guys had, where it was like just about learning how to make stuff and use a camera. And I had done like theater and stuff before that, so I don't know if that was helpful in terms of like being on camera, which is like a whole set of things on its own.
Oh, jeez. Hi. Hi, I'm Tiara, and I'm the executive producer for our class. And I was just wondering, like, where you find your inspiration for your videos, because for us, we have like all of our news that we cover, and we're normally like assigned something. So I was just wondering, like, where you get your inspiration from, since you didn't know anything about like subtitles and you had to research everything. So how do you start out?
Yeah, for sure. Well, being assigned topics is really nice. I know it doesn't feel that way, but like totally takes the pressure off trying to like figure out what you're going to make a video about. But when I'm working from a blank slate, it depends. I try to find stuff that I'm interested in. Like I said before, wanted to make movies. And so a lot of my videos tend to be about like how Hollywood is making movies, whether it's like VFX or subtitles or whatever. So it's trying to find a particular topic, and even that can be hard because topics are like gigantic. And what we try to do at Vox is we try to have like one guiding question where instead of like trying to explain, like I did a video about how they use digital doubles in like superhero movies for stunts where you know you can't have like Spider-Man swinging through Manhattan because that's impossible. But you know that it's even that is like a big topic. You know, that's like VFX. Like how do you narrow it down? So really it's about like figuring out what you're interested in and then trying to find like the narrowest question that you could ask. anyway, so it's also like tapping into what you're experiencing. Like I find the best topics come from situations like that where you're like hanging out with your friends or your family and they're like, yeah, why is that thing that way? And I'm like, yes, why is it? I will find the answer and maybe it'll become a Vox video. But yeah, that stuff is super hard, and you can't be waiting on inspiration like that. So when you have to like pitch something, I try to just follow my interests and look up articles and see like what other people are talking about, and try to be inspired. It's tough, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Faith, and I'm the podcast manager. I was wondering how you decided to pursue multimedia production as a career.
That's a good question. I didn't want to do anything else. Like I pretty much knew early on that I like wanted to make movies. Before that, like I didn't really know it, but I was like, oh, I want to be like an actor. Like I pretty much had always wanted to do something in like media. Um, so it was more so about like finding the thing that was the most beneficial to like where I was when I was getting out of college. But yeah, uh, hopefully and it's burning you up inside. It's a different kind of excitement. Like yeah, it's something that you definitely like through doing it you'll learn if you like really feel like you can do it like forever, or if it feels like maybe it's just more fun to watch.
My name's Timmy, and I'm like the sports editor slash manager. And I was just wondering, like, how did you become so creative? Because in some of the shots that we saw in your video, in your subtitles video, it's just like you look so comfortable being that, like you're in the bathtub in the one shot, and it's just like, how are you
Yeah.
that comfortable with doing
I
that?
wasn't a swimsuit. Well, yeah, from watching movies a lot, I sort of, and I'm sure you guys have this within you when you're watching a movie and you're like, you start getting bored and you start thinking about other things. You want to check your phone. I'm very aware of that, and I try to do my best to like never have a moment like that in my video. And so sometimes it's just like, what's the silliest thing that I could do in this moment to like keep people engaged, but like continually move the video forward. So like that opening sequence where it was like all the different like blips of me in different places, it was that where I was like trying to just like I didn't know how to start the video, really, is what happened. And I spent a long time talking about it with my editor. And I was just like, yeah, I think maybe if it's like more focused on me and like how I watch things, it can like that'll be a good way in, and we can sort of not be voice of God and being like, this is what happens with subtitles. It's like, this is my experience. And this is like why I think that there's like an issue here that we need to talk about. A little bit it's being inspired by like things that you watch or things that you like, and figuring out what's like my version of that. And then the other side of it is like once you have that sandbox where you know what you're working on, it's just trying to figure out how to plus that idea, and like what's you have your first idea, but what's the second, third, and fourth idea that could be better than that. Sometimes the second and third ideas are horrible, and like the first idea you had it, but you gotta sort of extrapolate to know for sure that like the idea that you're gonna end up doing is the funniest one.
Hi, I'm Jose. I'm a senior here. I'm a third year on the management team. So as I'm like going into college and looking for this in like a career, who do you like? Are you like an independent like worker? Do you work for yourself or do you work for a company? Like who would you work for?
Yeah, so right now I work for this company called Vox, but I've worked at a few other companies. So if you want to do something similar to this, there's a bunch of companies out there, from like big names like NBC or CNN to like much smaller companies. So I would recommend just looking at like the big name websites, and since you're going to be going to college soon, like try to get internships wherever you can. Like if it's at like a local news station or like doing something else, like just intern as much as possible when you're in college, and from there you'll get to know people and you can ask people there like where you can get jobs, and they'll be able to help you out with that. But yeah, if you look at like NBC, Disney, CBS, like they have job postings and they have jobs like this. And then, like I said, there's a bunch of like media companies that aren't like legacy, like Vox, or I worked at a company before this called Cheddar, where I was doing similar stuff. So
Yeah, it's Katie again. Thanks
Hi.
for talking to us. Oh my gosh, stop. That's so close. But yeah, we all thought your video was great. So I think this was really helpful and we had a lot of good questions. So thank you.
Of course, yeah. Thank you guys. This was a lot of fun.